From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Helping make better decisions on the farm.
I would be willing to bet of all the data we are truly collecting with all of our implements, we are utilizing maybe about 30% of that data to make true decisions on our farm.
A look at what smart farming really is all about. The future of biofuels for farmers.
It's changing the game, no doubt.
How producers may be able to cash in as USDA cuts Brazil's soybean production.
So I think there's still a lot of questions out there.
But is it enough? Reaction to the latest numbers right now on AgDay.
AgDay, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when the testing grounds meet the proving grounds. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. USDA is continuing to lower Brazil's soybean production while leaving stocks here at home relatively unchanged. That's the headline from this month's supply and demand numbers. Now, starting off with U.S. ending stocks, corn and soybeans unchanged from last month. Wheat stocks are raised 673 million bushels, up 18% from the same time last year. Taking a closer look at South American crop production, the agency raising Argentina's corn crop, but sticking with last month's number for Brazil. Now for soybeans, USDA is predicting Argentina's crop to be the same as last month, but it lowered Brazil's soybean crop by 1 million metric tons, which was less than the trade was expecting. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us with reaction to the numbers. And Michelle, traders don't feel USDA is moving fast enough at lowering that Brazilian soybean forecast.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Clinton. As USDA only lowered Brazilian soybean production by 1 million metric tons. That was about 4 million metric tons above the trade guess. And they also left corn production for Brazil unchanged. Now, while that wasn't a huge surprise, this isn't the first time the South American numbers have disappointed the trade.
USDA put Brazilian soybean production at 155 million metric tons, which is well above CONAB's 149.5 million projection, and they're set to release new estimates on Tuesday. Plus, you have some private estimates well below that. Some analysts say USDA is slow stepping since they've had to increase Brazilian production after the fact the last 2 years. But Chip Nellinger says they also lack boots on the ground.
I just think historically, the USDA, when it comes to other world numbers, they're reactionary, right? And they're, not usually the ones that are leading the way in the cuts. And so I think there's still a lot of questions out there. You look at some of the private estimates that are still here recently out of the Southern Hemisphere, out of Brazil especially. You're talking major differences on both corn and bean estimates.
In fact, USDA's Brazil corn forecast, unchanged at 124 million metric tons, is more than 10 million tons above CONAB. Here, the rationale may be that 75% of the Brazil corn is second crop, which is just being planted. However, Nellinger says this all makes next week's CONAB estimates even more important to the market.
The South American numbers may be a little bit disappointing to the market, but I think the market knows and realizes that the USDA isn't the leader when it comes to trying to estimate Southern Hemisphere crops. We do have CONAB out next Tuesday morning. And so that, honestly, in my opinion, is going to be more important than what this USDA report told us.
However, USDA did make one surprising revision, raising China's soybean imports for 2022-23 by 3.7 million metric tons and another 3 million for 2023-24. Now, that was reflected in lower world ending stocks for soybeans at 114.3, down nearly 2 million from February. World corn carryover was also lowered by 2.5 million metric tons and wheat by over 0.5 million, which was also slightly bullish. I'm Michelle Rook reporting for AgDay.
AgDay at Ag Industry Day is brought to you by the Mosaic Company, creating innovative advanced crop nutrition products and practices.
The biofuels industry is growing in the northern plains, and the potential is huge for farmers in that area, but it's also an opportunity for cooperatives like CHS. Company officials talked about the future of biofuels as part of the CHS Ag Industry Day. This included possible expansion of their soy processing capacity and how it might shape their future business model.
It's changing the game, no doubt. So we have to, again, it changes the way we build, what we build, how we're going to move our products. So we have, we have to put our money in the right places.
Farmers also got an update on what state legislatures in the Midwest are looking at for low carbon fuel standards, which may not be the same as those in states like California.
So I think the most significant difference that you'd potentially see going forward from a West Coast versus Midwest low carbon fuel policy is the need for integration of the agricultural supply chain and economy in a future Midwestern low carbon fuel standard. And so, yet to be determined on what that would look like and the specific provisions.
Hamlin says they too are awaiting federal guidance on sustainable aviation fuel. The West Coast spent the weekend drying out, but a break from the rain and snow won't last long. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht has a look ahead to this week.
Moving along in the month of March, middle part of the month, still expecting warm conditions in and across the United States. So you got the above normal temperatures back out here towards the east and on the East Coast, and then a pocket of some cooler air back near the Four Corner States. So what we're seeing is, again, a ridge building across the United States, which is going to provide a kind of quiet weather for the middle part of the country all the way through most of next week. Now check out the time span. This is March 13th through the 17th. Even on the West Coast, the temperatures are going to be coming back above average, and not just by a small margin. We're going to be way over here with the normal than average temperatures. And now after the 17th, there are some indications that combined with this cutoff low, we could be looking at another surge of some colder air dropping down from the north to the south. Again, that's going to be towards the tail end of the month. But it is worth noting that, again, we're not completely done with cold air and not completely done with winter either. We'll, of course, be monitoring it. And not a sunrise this morning, but a spectacular sunset. This one captured by Clay in Kansas. He shared it on X, saying red cows at night. Beautiful. I'll have more in your forecast coming up.
Smart Farming Week on AgDay is brought to you by John Deere. For generations before and generations to come, John Deere is part of your farm and your family. Whatever your technology needs, John Deere has the tools to help you grow your farm. And by Smart Nutrition MAP Plus MST, fertilizer designed with seed safety in mind. Smart Nutrition MAP Plus MST is engineered with a lower salt index. Learn how it protects your seed at smartnutritionmst.com.
This week, we're focusing on the future of agriculture and the smart farm revolution happening right before our very eyes. Today, we begin with the question I'm sure many of you are asking: what is smart farming? From wireless and satellite-driven tractors to drones, remote sensors, and robots scouring our fields, the smart farm is coming, and pieces are already here. The push to make our world smarter is a never-ending carousel of products and technological adaptations rolled out one iteration and software update at a time. Like the smartphone and its legions of possibilities, within the decade, a collection of technologies could similarly meld a flurry of seasonal tasks into one decision-making hub for agriculture.
There are a ton of things that automation and more generally robotics could be doing in agriculture to automate processes and make things more consistent.
The smart farm of the future uses technology to improve productivity, efficiency, and ultimately profitability. These tools, including sensors collecting real-time information, software that crunches data, and hardware capable of responding to those cues, have already found their way to the farm gate.
I would be willing to bet of all the data we are truly collecting with all of our implements, we are utilizing maybe about 30% of that data to make true decisions on our farm.
That includes livestock operations, now using AI to help sort and manage their herds.
The technology is doing a great job of letting us know which cows need attention. If a cow is coming into heat, the technology lets us know that. If a cow's not feeling well, the technology is going to let us know that. And it gives us the information in real time.
Out in the barn, temperature control systems help optimize heat and humidity, keeping cows cool and fly free.
They don't call in sick.
Robots can push feed to the bunk and even milk cows without any human hands needed in the process.
They don't, if it's cold they work, if it's hot they work. there's no bitching. It's, you know, they do the same routine every day.
Adding these high-tech tools, however, requires a solid business case and real-world ROI.
I think understanding what exactly you need in your operation, what's going to provide the biggest return on assets, what technology you buy in your farm operation that it's got to provide you a return back. So if it's data analysis technology that's going to tell you where you're wasting money on nitrogen, that's going to return money back in your pocket.
Higher yields, cost savings, and improving efficiency are at the forefront of this smart farming revolution.
I think just anything that truly increase yield on your farm is going to have a dramatic impact long term.
Big data and artificial intelligence are knocking at the door. And like the smartphone, these tools will be seamless and eventually simple to use. It was a mixed reaction in the markets following USDA's latest supply-demand report. So what now? We'll talk about it coming up next. And later, we're off to Wisconsin to meet the winners of this year's World Cheese Championships, including a few U.S. cheese makers being honored for their entries. New developments regarding the probe into accounting practices at ADM. Reuters reporting the FBI issued grand jury subpoenas to both current and former employees of the company. Now, sources cited by Reuters indicate these subpoenas suggest the existence of a criminal probe regarding ADM's accounting issues. The subpoenas specifically request information, communications, and devices containing communications about certain aspects of ADM's accounting, such as details on goods and cash transfers between different segments of the company. Reuters points out government investigations are not evidence of wrongdoing and do not necessarily mean there will be charges. A spokesperson for ADM declined to comment to Reuters. China on Friday canceling a buy of 4 million bushels of soft red winter wheat. That follows a cancellation on Thursday of a 4.7 million bushel order of the same. And traders are hearing additional cancellations could be coming. It's reported China still has more than 1 million metric tons on the books that haven't been shipped. Grains ended up in positive territory following the release of the latest supply-demand report from USDA. AgDay's Michelle Rook has analysis in markets now.
Grains ending mostly higher on Friday. Darren Fry, Water Street Solutions, is back with us. Darren, we had the WASDE out on Friday. Not a lot of fodder there in terms of domestic numbers. We were watching for actually a little bit more in terms of revisions on South America. We didn't get them, but the market really handled it well.
Yeah, it really did. You know, we were looking for, the trade was looking for a reduction of about 5 million metric tons. On the Brazilian bean crop, we got 1 million metric ton. And I think the only bright spot was kind of world numbers came down about 1 million metric tons on wheat and maybe a couple million on beans and 2.5 on corn on the world ending stocks. And they boosted imports for China from 102, I believe, up to 105. So they moved those higher. And soybeans really had a great finish last week. In fact, most of the grains finished with weekly reversals.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Higher weekly closes, reversals. We're above 20-day moving averages in a lot of the grain sector now. So is that an indication for the funds to keep covering shorts and push this market higher?
It sure could be. I mean, they've been in control. They've had huge positions. They've been adding to them for many, many weeks. They've kind of stalled out over the last week or two, and last Friday was the first sign of them maybe covering some bigger amounts here. And so we'll see what happens. Weather in South America is going to matter as we start our growing season. Obviously, some of the forecasts, some people are already talking about this shift from El Nino to La Nina, and it's just probably a wrong time of year to be really, really short.
Darren, what do you think the funds are watching here in terms of maybe technical signals, and what's the catalyst that will get them to continue to pile out of that short position we just talked about?
Funds a lot of times will look at moving averages. They also look at the profitability of the positions they have, and they're still highly profitable in all these positions. They've added to them in good places, and so they'll be looking at that as well. But also, as most chartists do, they look at momentum. They look at how high a price has gotten from the reversal off the bottom. And I'm kind of watching that 12.25 area in May beans, the 460 area in May corn. I think if you get above those areas, especially if you unfold in 5 waves, I think that's going to make the funds somewhat nervous.
Thanks for joining us. Darren for Water Street Solutions. We'll have more AgDay coming up.
Take a look at the jet stream as we go through your Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So a couple of things to point out. One is that trough that we've been following all weekend long. That's going to continue to move to the north and to the east, taking with it a significant amount of rainfall and some cooler temperatures. In the wake of that trough, a ridge is starting to develop back across the United States. These white lines pushing way up here to the north, with the hints of another trough trying to develop off to the west. And I say trying because the energy behind this trough, if it can get deep enough, would nudge the ridge out. But right now it's looking like it's going to be pretty shallow and keep most of the energy back up here towards the west, to the southwest, and going up and over the ridge rather than through it. Now, that being said, coming up on Thursday and Friday, the southeast expecting warmer than average conditions with this ridge in place, and then some wet weather, as we looked at a little bit ago, back through the four corners. Again, this circle indicating a cutoff low. That means warmer temperatures on the west coast, cooler underneath that circle, and then also warmer temperatures back over to the south and to the southeast. So again, that's a jet stream coming up on Thursday. As we worked through the weekend, there was some snow that came down in and across the United States. It wasn't much, but a trace of snowfall was registered as we went through the weekend in some parts of the United States. Otherwise, we continue to add in regards to the snow depth back out here in the West Coast. And not completely done with winter or the threat for snow anytime soon. We'll continue to monitor that situation. Start off in Colorado, partly cloudy, high about 42 degrees, low of 19. Moab, cloudy. Utah, high of 64 degrees, low of 38. Oak Ridge, Tennessee, sunny, high of 59 degrees.
The price of new equipment doesn't seem to be coming down, and that's influencing the cost many are paying at auction. Machinery Pete has more.
So I want to talk about a pair of auctions last week that caught my eye. One featuring large late model equipment, the other some nice smaller late model equipment. The last Monday, my friends of Merit Auctions had an online dealer auction for HR AgriPower. And on the sale was this 2021 Case IH Magnum 380, 1,150 hours, came out of Tennessee. So for $298,000, second highest auction price ever on a Magnum 380. Same sale last Monday, this 22 model Magnum 310, 710 hours out of Kentucky, went for $276,000. Same story there, folks. Second highest auction price ever on a Magnum 310. Now that sale had a ton of planters on it. And the nicest of the bunch was this 23 model Case IH 2150, 24 30-inch high speed out of Indiana. 2,771 acres, went for $245,000. Fifth highest auction price ever on a Case IH planter. Now, interestingly, that same auction company, Merit Auctions, the week before had another online dealer auction next door in Ohio for AgPro companies, February 27th. And on that sale, this 22 model Case IH 2160, 47 15-inch, sold for $319,000. Second highest auction price ever on a Case IH planter. Now, last Wednesday, online farm auction in the evening in Clayton, Wisconsin by Hager Auctions. That's some nice small equipment, including this Kuhn Mergemax 300, held for $20,250, record high auction price. They also sold this Kuhn SR112 speed rake, went for $8,100, tied for the record high auction price ever. And this Hessen 1372 disc bind went for $18,250, second highest auction price in 8 years. Now, folks, on both those auctions, I think the key thing is the high price of new is continuing to pull up on the value of good condition used equipment.
All right, thanks, Pete. Up next, you'll see which cheeses were crowned world champions. We're off to Wisconsin. The best cheese in the world was selected at this year's World Championship Cheese Contest in Madison, Wisconsin.
With a winning score of 98.98, the 2024 World Champion title goes to Hornbacher, made by Michael Spieker of Mountain Dairy Fritzenhaus for Gormino in Bern, Switzerland.
That marks a third world title for cheesemaker Michael Spieker of Switzerland. He also came out on top in 2020 and 2022 with his Gormino Le Gruyere. There were more than 3,300 different cheeses, yogurts, butters, and dry dairy products for judges to test, all in 142 classes with entries from 25 countries. Now, Tillamook from Oregon also took home 4 of the 5 top slots in the sharp cheddar cheese category, and 15 competitors from Wisconsin won in several classes at the event. Now, the contest has been hosted by the Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association since 1957. And congratulations to everyone there. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths.